This is a boost.
Ready to lift the car seat.
I'm not doing so well.
I'm just hungry. I know I shouldn't be complaining because I'm not the one that's giving birth.
Hey guys, welcome back to my channel and to a very special video. Today I will be sharing my birth story. So this was my second pregnancy. I had my daughter 8 years ago, which is quite a long time, and that pregnancy was really straightforward. I had no issues, no complications at all. I had a natural birth as well, but unfortunately I was induced, and I feel like that induction was really not necessary. This time I felt so much more prepared. Again, I had a birth plan and I really wanted as much as possible to follow the plan. So when I was around 30 weeks pregnant, I started to have some really bad pain in my back, only on one side, and some pain in my abdomen as well. It started to become stronger and stronger, and after a few hours it was almost unbearable. So I went to the hospital, to the labor ward. They checked me, they did some tests, they did an MRI scan. From looking at the scans, it looked like I have a blood clot in my adrenal gland, which is next to your kidney, and I also had a urine infection. They gave me loads of painkillers, antibiotics, but the pain wasn't really easing for a day or two. I was admitted to the hospital, and because this blood clot was quite unusual, most pregnant women have blood clots in their legs or other parts of their bodies, but not really in the adrenal gland. And when I was sent back home from the hospital, they put me on blood thinners. I had to inject myself twice a day, once in the morning and once at night. Their advice was that I should give birth in the labor ward and not the birth center, which was my original plan. But I told them that I really want to go to the birth center. I did my research, and I do understand there's a risk of losing too much blood after birth, but I would still like to try and go to the birth center. They explained that I have to stop taking the injections if I feel like I'm going into labor. They explained that being on blood thinners would probably mean that I can't get an epidural, which I didn't want to get anyway, and if I would need to have a C-section for whatever reason, they would have to put me to sleep because they cannot use the injection that they normally use to like numb you down. I found out that the risk of losing too much blood is actually not that much higher, just because I'm on blood thinners. I didn't want to be too scared and worry too much, and I just felt really positive that I can do this. So in order to be able to go to the birth center, I had to have an appointment with a specialist midwife, and we just looked at the risks and what are some precautions that we can take. One thing they suggested is if I go to the birth center, that the first thing they will do is to take some blood tests to see how my blood is clotting and just some other things. They also suggested after the baby is born to use the injection that kind of speeds up the process of birthing the placenta, which is another thing that I refused, and I said I would like to wait it out and just see how things go. Just in case I'm not bleeding too much, I would rather do some skin to skin with the baby and just allow the placenta to come out. Although it was a bit scary to go against their advice, I really felt confident that I can do this and I'm making the right choice for myself. I was also reading a book about hypnobirthing. I was listening to positive affirmations, watching loads of positive birth videos, and I just felt really confident in my decision. So I didn't have a good experience with my daughter and giving birth in a hospital. I feel like that's why I felt so strongly about going to a birth center. So that is all about the pregnancy. My due date was 28th of October, and the next day on the 29th, I just had so much energy. I was really busy the whole day. I was cleaning the house, just running errands. And that night I went to bed around 10 p.m. and that's when I started to have contractions. But I've been having practice contractions a lot in this pregnancy, especially towards the end, so I wasn't surprised by it. I didn't think much of it. At some point I felt that I should start tracking them. They felt a bit more consistent. When I started tracking them, I realized that they were coming every 10 minutes and then every 9 minutes. But after that, it just kind of started to be all over the place. It wasn't really consistent, but I kept having them. So I really thought that something might be happening. This is the part I'm going to look at my notes because I don't want to miss anything. So when they became less consistent, I decided to try and sleep and stop timing them. But unfortunately, I couldn't sleep at all. The contractions were not too painful, or I wouldn't even say they were painful, but they felt more intense than the Braxton Hicks contractions, and every time I would have one, it would wake me up, so I just couldn't sleep. Hello everyone. You have anything to say about when the guy was born?
I just came back from school, I don't know.
You were sleeping? Okay.
I was sleeping, that's all.
Then I realized that I will not be able to sleep at all, so I decided to get out of bed, and that was at 1:30 a.m. I went to the sitting room. I started watching the Love is Blind reunion just to keep myself busy. I straightened my hair. My hair looked messy, and I thought, let me try and look nice for this baby's arrival. It wasn't the best idea because I was planning to give birth in the water anyway. When I went to the toilet, I noticed some pinkish discharge, and I thought that's a good sign. I didn't want to wake anyone up. I was actually really hungry, so I went and I had some food. I finished watching the reunion, and I noticed that the contractions definitely started to be painful, and I had to breathe through them. All those breathing techniques that I was practicing really helped me get through the contractions. I was a bit annoyed at the fact that they didn't become more consistent. I had contractions sometimes every 7 or 8 minutes apart, but then they would be 13 or 15 minutes apart. I thought that there's no reason to call the birth center just yet. I also didn't want to wake up anyone just because I knew that things could slow down or even stop. The only pain I had was in my lower abdomen, so I had no pain at all in my back, which I wasn't really happy about just because I prepared chokes and he was watching all these videos like how to apply counter pressure and things like that that can relieve the pain, but we couldn't really do that because I had no pain at all in my back. I felt a lot of pressure in my lower abdomen and also down there. I literally felt like the baby's head is so low, almost like he's ready to come out, but I was actually so far from that happening. I also seen a lot of videos of women saying that it's really comfortable to sit on the toilet whilst you're in labor, but for me it was so painful, literally the worst position to be in. I was actually scared to go to the toilet every single time. Around 2:30 a.m. I tried to take a nap, and again, every time I had a contraction it woke me up. It was literally impossible to sleep. At 3 a.m. I woke up chokes, and I asked him to come help me with the TENS machine. I wanted to start using it before the pain gets too intense because I know it's better to start using it a bit earlier. So he helped me put the TENS machine on to make sure the little sticky things are in the right place, and I actually really liked using the TENS machine. I found it helpful with getting through the contractions.
And I think when contraction comes, I press this boost.
Is it on? Is the battery inside? Is the battery?
Oh yeah, I'm sure that's batteries. Make sure it's not strong.
What, the other side? This or left side, right side?
Oh, because I kind of felt it everywhere. Oh, my stomach. I need to try it again. Oh, slow it down. I mean, I don't know. Quite nice. Is this a boost?
It's a boost too.
Okay. That was either very short or this thing is helping, but I would be surprised if it's happening so fast.
Can you feel it?
It's nice.
And then we were up watching TV, trying to distract myself in between contractions.
We moved on to watching Physical 100 Asia. You're the one who's sleepy?
I was actually fine in between the contractions, absolutely fine, but the pain was definitely starting to get more intense, and my contractions lasted quite long as well. Some of them were almost 2 minutes, and I feel like those were really hard to like breathe through. After a while, like nothing could distract me, and yeah, it was starting to get tough. Around 5 a.m. I felt like I am really tired and I could use a nap, and the contractions became quite intense, but they were just all over the place, not consistent at all, which was really frustrating. Chooks fell asleep and I also tried to rest. I think I dozed off a few times, but it was even worse, like being woken up by the contractions. I think I managed to sleep for about 30 minutes once the whole night, which was around 6:15, and then I woke up by a contraction that was around 6:15, and that last contraction was really intense. After that I just couldn't go back to sleep at all. I didn't even want to try. Then at 7:40 a.m. they became really strong, but they were even more further apart, so they were like 15 to 18 minutes apart, which was again very frustrating because I was hoping they would get much closer than that, at least 10 or 9 minutes apart. I was really tired, so I just tried to rest in between the contractions and eat as well. I was really hungry. I ate a lot actually. And then I started using the comb, which I was just squeezing in my hand, and I found that really helpful as well. And then my daughter woke up. We told her to start getting ready because our friend is going to pick her up soon. And then at 8:30 in the morning the contractions became really frequent all of a sudden. They were 4 to 5 minutes apart. So I decided to have a bath just so I could relax a little bit, and I thought it might help with the pain as well. And it was actually so nice to lie down in the water. It felt really good and relaxing. I was lying down on my side and I feel like it really helped with the contractions as well. They were not as intense. So then I got out of the bath and I decided to lie down and try and sleep again. But once I got out of the bath and I lay down on my bed, they were much more intense than they were inside the water. So again, I knew that I will not be able to sleep, and they were actually really strong. So I decided to give the birth center a call. They thought there's no point in coming in just yet because they might have to send me back home, but they did say if I want to I can always go in and they would check me. So I decided to stay at home until they become a bit more frequent and closer together. And then at this point we messaged our friend and asked her to pick our daughter up. I noticed that whenever I was moving around or walking, the contractions were much more frequent, like 4 to 5 minutes apart. But when I sit down or lie down, they would slow down and they would be like 8 to 9 minutes apart. So I thought it would be best if I keep moving around to speed things up, because I was quite sure that things are not going to stop at this point and I am going to have this baby possibly that day. And at 1:15 our friend arrived to pick up Zara, and I was quite happy because I didn't want her to see me in too much pain as things got a bit more intense, and also the fact that we would be ready to just head into the birth center whenever I felt like it was time. And then 1 hour later at 2:15 we were still at home because the contractions were still not that consistent, but the pain was really testing my limits and becoming much more intense.
Stop.
Yes.
At this point I really wanted to go to the birth center, but I promised myself that I will not go in too early, just because I know that that can also sometimes slow things down, and I really wanted to be at home somewhere familiar and comfortable as long as I can. And then once again the contractions became very close to each other all of a sudden, and that kind of freaked me out. I just felt so much pressure down there. I felt like the baby might be coming anytime soon, so I told Chooks that I want to head into the birth center and to get ready.
You still need to shower. Oh, you're so slow.
Gotta look pretty for my boy, you know.
Oh, okay.
No.
What are you doing?
I'm just shaking my head. Yeah.
Ready to lift the car seat. Okay. I'm not doing so well. Where's my comb? My poor hand is tired of squeezing this comb, to be honest. And then at 3 p.m. is when we were ready to leave. We packed everything, and that's when I called the birth center. They told me that they're waiting for me and they're going to prepare a room. And that just felt so nice to hear, because I was really worried that they might be too busy, they might not have a room, or I know sometimes they even have to close the birth center if the labor ward is too busy to go and help there. So I was just really happy to know that they are going to have a room ready for me when I get there. I was really glad that they let us go into the room. They said that they don't need to examine me, just because they can see how intense the contractions are, and they're happy for me to just go in. They also said I can start using the water, the pool, but I wanted to wait and not start using it too early. We are in the birth center. Here's my lovely pool or tub, or what is it? I cannot wait to get in, but I'm going to wait a little bit. I feel like the contractions were so much more painful at home. I mean, they're still painful, and I'm not tracking it right now. Yeah, I'm not sure what's the word? I'm so tired. How do you like our room? It's very nice.
It's beautiful. It's beautiful.
It's so much nicer than like a hospital.
I'm just hungry. I know I shouldn't be complaining because I'm not the one that's giving birth, but I'm hungry.
No, I'm actually hungry too.
Uh,
What did she
I'm
bring?
starving. Yeah.
She brought something, some snacks. Not that something that's gonna fill me up, but I've been loving that apple juice and orange juice when I was in hospital. So we're gonna have a baby in there, seems like. I am a bit shocked by that still. So there's a tub, and then have this big bean bag or whatever it's called. Yeah, I'm just trying out different positions. Jux is in this position. I think he could take a nap here. I think he's gonna fall asleep soon.
I'm just waiting for my boy. Alright, I'm calm.
Yeah, me too.
Just patiently waiting.
I'm not as calm as you, but yeah. When we were in the room, I told them that we are happy to be there, and if I need them to come or I need any help, I would call them. Yeah, they just left us there, and that was quite nice. It's 4 something, almost 4:30.
4:22.
Oh gosh, I honestly thought by now I would have had a baby. I really did. How naive of me.
Oh, we can finally get to sleep.
Oh, what?
You finally sleep on the bed. I'm still on the bed.
Yeah, relaxing.
Nice.
That'll be nice. I felt really good just knowing that I'm there, and if I need any help, they are there to help me. Everyone was just so lovely, so nice. I was really hoping that my waters would break, because I felt so much pressure, and I felt like that might relieve that pressure a little bit. I also couldn't empty my bladder for some reason. As I said, every time I go to the toilet, it was very painful to just like sit on the toilet and try to empty my bladder, which I couldn't, and I feel like that was adding extra pressure down there. So they actually helped me to empty my bladder using some kind of tube, I don't know what it's called, and that was kind of a relief. But then again, throughout the whole labor until he was born, I just couldn't empty my bladder, and that was very annoying and so uncomfortable. The contractions were getting super intense. This pressure was just so extreme, I'm not gonna lie. It was very hard to breathe through them, and the midwives did such a great job, like reminding me each time to focus on my breathing, to relax my shoulders. They were massaging my shoulders, which really helped, because I was really tensing them, and I found it almost impossible not to tense it, which I know can make the pain worse, but it was just really extreme. And yeah, I just found them so helpful. Everything they did, saying positive things to me, telling me I'm doing a good job. A lot of times I really struggled to stay positive. I was freaking out. I just didn't expect labor to be this long. It was actually 25 hours in total. So then I decided to go into the water and not to wait much longer. It was so amazing to be in the water. It was very nice and warm. It was so spacious. There were loads of different positions I could be in, and it felt amazing. But the contractions were still very intense, and I don't really think if it helped me personally to be in the water, like with the contractions. I feel like they were just as strong, but in between the contractions it felt amazing to be in there and not having to stand or sit down. Nothing was really comfortable and I was very tired, so I found it very helpful to relax in there.
That was a very light one. Oh my god. Oh my god. Oh. Oh. Okay. Oh. 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 Oh my god. Oh. Oh.
And when I was in the water, I felt so much pressure down there. I actually thought that I'm very close to giving birth, but I wasn't. And then I got out of the water, and that's when they told me that my blood results came back. There was something, I'm not sure if it was the blood clotting. It's such a blur, to be honest, because I was extremely tired. I haven't slept at all since the day before. But anyway, they told me that I have to go up to the labor ward to give birth, and they're going to prepare a room for me. And at that point I was like, let's just go. I just want this baby out. I was still in the birth center for a little while. We had to go up there just because in case I would lose too much blood or there would be any complications, because I was on the blood thinners. There are more things they can do to stop the bleeding. At that point the contractions were so painful and intense that I didn't really care. I was happy to go up. I just wanted the baby out, to be honest. When I was transferred upstairs to the labor ward, the midwife from the birth center who just started her shift, she came up with me and she stayed with me throughout the whole time until he was born. She was the only one there and she was just so lovely and so helpful. I was actually really glad that she stayed with me and it wasn't another person from the labor ward, just because I feel like they are a bit more positive and supportive. I wanted to make sure that I will not be lying down flat on my back, just because in this room there wasn't a pool. I also felt too tired to get in the shower, which is something they suggested that I could do to help with the pain. I just felt like I cannot stand anymore. My legs were literally shaking from being so exhausted and the pain was just super intense, but it still wasn't very consistent. We tried to lift up the bed. I was kind of holding onto the top of the bed. Then I started to have some pain in my back, but only on the left side, which was kind of freaking me out. I was a bit worried that it might be something with my kidney or something like that. I'm still not sure what caused that pain. It could be maybe the position the baby was in. And then I also started to have pain kind of in my thighs. I tried to be on my lying down on my side instead of being on my back, but sometimes I ended up being on my back just because I was so tired. I couldn't hold my body anymore. I feel like there's always a point where you feel like you just cannot do it, you want to give up, and the pain and everything is just too much. And I try to remind myself that if I feel like that, it means I'm very close to actually meeting him. Around 11 p.m. I felt like I am ready to start pushing, but I wasn't yet. I just felt a lot of pressure down there. I really tried to listen to my body and push when I felt that urge. So there were some times when the midwife told me to relax because the contraction ended, but I still felt like a very strong urge to push. And then I asked if it's okay to push. She said yes, and I did. So he was born at 11:44 on the 31st of October, so right before the next day, which would have been 1st of November.
Almost there.
Almost there.
You got this. You're doing an amazing job.
Oh, you did it! Oh, I can't believe that it came out.
So just to check, you don't want the injection, do you? You just want to wait for the percentage to come?
Yeah, I was really glad that I ended up not losing too much blood at all, which is the reason why I had to go up to the labor ward. So once he was born, they allowed us to go back to the birth center and spend the night there, which was great because we had so much space there and it was just very comfortable. That first night together was really lovely. He actually slept through the whole night. We actually had to wake him up to feed.
Adorable. Beautiful, laddie boy.
I actually felt really good after the birth. Obviously I had some contractions when I was breastfeeding. I also started to feed him right after he was born, and I was so glad that I could do that. And also I didn't need the injection to get the placenta out. I asked them to wait. It actually came out really fast. I didn't get any sleep, so it was even harder to like get through the contractions and breathe through them. And there were times when I was begging for some kind of pain relief or anything. I just wanted to like give up, but I'm really glad that I did it all natural. I feel like the healing was quite good as well. After I had some pain kind of like in my lower back, my tailbone, which lasted for about 10 days, and apparently it was just because labor was so long and maybe the baby's position, but apart from that it hasn't been too bad. I feel like I could have prepared even more, like with the hypnobirthing. I could have taken a course. I just read this book, which I'm going to link in the description box because I found it really helpful. I would definitely recommend reading that book or maybe taking a hypnobirthing class, especially if you had a difficult or traumatic birth experience before. Altogether, I'm glad that I did it natural, and I am so glad that there were no complications, and also that I stick to my birth plan and I went to the birth center, even though I couldn't actually give birth there, but I was there most of the time, and I'm just so grateful for the team there. They were honestly the best, and it really made such a big difference having them there and their support. Also for my partner's support, I could have not done it without him. He was just so helpful having him there. I was squeezing him a lot. I was probably hurting him a lot. So that is my birth story. Thank you guys for watching, and I will see you soon.